Namaskar and welcome to Sansad Television. I am Vishal Dahiya and you're watching our show In Focus, where we bring you detailed analysis of key national and international issues. Today we're going to talk about the Global Buddhist Summit 2023 and the contemporary relevance of preachings and teachings of Lord Buddha. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Thursday addressed the inaugural session of the Global Buddhist Summit in New Delhi. The two-day summit with the theme Responses to Contemporary Challenges from Philosophy to Praxis is hosted by the Ministry of Culture in collaboration with the International Buddhist Confederation. The summit is an effort towards engaging the global Buddhist Dharma leadership and scholars on matters of Buddhist and universal concerns and to come up with policy inputs to address them collectively. The discussion in the summit will mostly explore how the Buddhist religion's fundamental values can provide inspiration and guidance in contemporary settings. Eminent scholars, Sangha leaders and Dharma practitioners from all over the world are participating in the summit to discuss pressing global issues. So today we'll take a closer look at all these aspects and what is actually happening in the summit also. But before we move ahead, let's listen into what the Prime Minister had to say in his inaugural address.
बुद्ध का मार्ग है परियक्ति, पटिपत्ति और पटिवेद, यानी थियोरी, प्रैक्टिस एंड रियलाइजेशन। पिछले 9 वर्षों में भारत इन तीनों ही बिंदुओं पर तेजी से आगे बढ़ रहा है। हमने भगवान बुद्ध के मूल्यों का निरंतर प्रसार किया है। हमने बुद्ध की शिक्षाओं को जन जन तक पहुंचाने के लिए एक समर्पण भाव से काम किया है। भारत और नेपाल में बुद्ध सर्किट का विकास हो, सारनाथ और कुशीनगर जैसे तीर्थों के कायाकल्प के प्रयास हो, कुशीनगर इंटरनेशनल एयरपोर्ट हो, लुम्बिनी में भारत और आईबीसी के सहयोग से इंडिया इंटरनेशनल सेंटर फॉर बुद्धिस्ट कल्चर एंड हेरिटेज का निर्माण हो, भारत के ऐसे हर काम में पति पत्ती की प्रेरणा शामिल है। ये भगवान बुद्ध की शिक्षाओं का प्रतिवेद ही है कि भारत विश्व के हर मानव के दुख को अपना दुख समझता है। दुनिया के अलग अलग देशों में पीस मिशंस हो या तुर्की के भूकंप जैसी आपदा हो, भारत अपना पूरा सामर्थ्य लगाकर हर संकट के समय मानवता के साथ खड़ा होता है, मम भाव से खड़ा होता है।
There it is. We heard the Prime Minister's inaugural address. Part of that address, the key aspects which the Prime Minister highlighted. Let's now, drill into discussion on various aspects. And let me first introduce our panelists to you. Mr. Praful Ketkar is here with us, organizer, the editor of Organizer rather. Welcome, Mr. Ketkar, to our show. We also have Dr. Amarjeev Lochan joining us, Professor of Buddhist Studies at Delhi University, and is also a member of the organizing committee for this Global Buddhist Summit. Welcome to you as well, Dr. Lochan. I'll begin with you because let's first start by understanding the aims and motive of organizing this summit. That's one aspect. And second is, what are the key focus areas for discussion? We know the theme, but then built around the theme, what are the areas on which the discussion will take place amongst eminent scholars and other representatives, both national and international?
Thank you for this wonderful question. This is very important to learn for today, that Buddhism, which has been quite a neglected subject in every affair of policy making or policy implementation, whether it was culture or tourism or diplomatic policies. And now we all have realized very well that this is the best bet for us, the safest bet for us to go ahead with our Indic Belt concept, where we know our relatives in these areas, which is more than 1/3 of the world population living there in Buddhist countries. They are very important to us. The geopolitics is requiring our connection to be in a good or best way. And I can see that Honorable Prime Minister today spoke very well on the subject with quotations used from superb Pali literature, and those were messages of global touch. And I'm sure this Global Buddhist Convention, which was earlier convention, now became a summit, it has been aimed at to connect them to our heart, and they are very, very receptive to us.
Okay.
The purpose behind this holding is not only IBC acting as a superb player in this field, it is rather beginning of a new relation of ABC in ABCD alphabetical way.
Okay.
We are talking about relationship with all level, building a faith with them. In all these countries, we have been very much neglected, or we have neglected them also. 10 years ago, you can see going to Laos, talking about Hinduism and Buddhism was a difficult subject. But today, when you go as an Indian to all these places, you find a reception of a high level. This is just a beginning of a new era. I'm sure this conference, this summit will create a lot of connections between known, unknown people of Buddhist world.
Okay, okay. Mr. Ketkar, we'll come to the global aspect a bit later. But since Dr. Lochan began with the Indian connect to this all, let's focus on that. One, in terms of how we connect culturally to other nations where followers of Buddhism are in large numbers. And two, from an Indian perspective, because I was looking at one of those numbers, India, which is land of origin for Buddhism, and a lot of holy Buddhist sites here. But less than 1% of the followers of Buddhism do visit those sites. A huge potential there.
Absolutely. See, we need to understand the entire concept behind this summit. International Buddhist Confederation has more than 38 Sanghas affiliated to it. 30 countries are represented in this particular summit. Most of the revered Buddhist Bhantes or venerable monks, they are participating in the discussions. Now the discussions will go on in two parallel verticals. One will be purely academic point of view, other will be purely religious and spiritual point of view. The theme overall is, responses to contemporary global challenges. Please try and understand, as Prime Minister today mentioned in his inaugural speech, imposition of ideology or faith on others is becoming the biggest threat to global peace and stability. The Indic faiths or the Hindu Buddhist perspective, and especially Buddhism, stands for that inner freedom, that spiritual freedom for everyone on this earth, and that's why it provides a path for peace within and outside.
Okay.
Now, this particular conference, first time ever, is trying to create a dialogue for contemporary challenges. Till now, Buddhism has been talked about from the spiritual point of view, from the individual peace point of view. At some level, policy, we have created many tourist circle. Buddha circuit is now becoming very popular. Kushinagar International Airport will change the game. Lumbini is coming up very fast. Bodh Gaya is getting a new kind of place on global map. But what is important is Buddha's teachings. The teachings, can they provide answer to global instability? Can they provide answers to the challenges like climate change? Can they provide answers to the entire economic imbalance and the cycle of recession and inflation that we are going through? These are the critical questions this summit is trying to address from Buddhist perspective. And that is the game changer.
And India being the key link out there.
Absolutely, because wherever you go in these countries, you will be identified as a person from land of Buddha.
Okay, okay.
We shouldn't forget that.
Okay, fair enough. That's a very important aspect there. One of our other panelists, Dr. Yuthika Mishra, is also joining us, Associate Professor from the Department of History in Delhi University. Dr. Mishra, welcome to Sansad Television. We're talking about the Global Buddhist Summit, Buddha's ideology, how it is relevant in contemporary times, and it holds answers to most of the challenges faced globally. So how would you assess the importance of Buddha's teaching here?
First of all, thank you for inviting me here. We all know that this is a very important summit that is currently going on. The World Buddha Summit is going on currently, which is trying to, as the previous speaker said, trying to negotiate with the contemporary problems, contemporary challenges, as they said. And a very key takeaway would be, they are trying to link the philosophy to reality. So that's where we have to see that how the Buddhist teachings are going to be important. The Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, all that is what we have learned through Buddhist teachings and learnings over the years, and the how the way this religion traveled, various dynasties took it up. This has remained, this religion, this philosophy, I would like to say, this has remained, has survived, and is going strong. I think a very important takeaway would be, as the Prime Minister is, totally devoted to developing the Buddhist circuit, also giving total due respect to Buddhism. So we have seen that there are important teachings which are linked to solving current problems. This we have to realize now with this summit in progress. This takes us takes the focus to the teachings of Buddha, where you have to the essential part of life, dukkha, then samudaya or attachment, the Four Noble Truths, then how you eliminate all the problems and how you choose the right path to achieve that objective.
Okay.
So with this and the Ashtang Marg, as we called it, that is where the solution lies. The current problems, like that of terrorism, maybe disparities in societies, the various environmental problems, how to make it sustainable. There is a linkage to these teachings.
Okay.
How we, when we internalize these teachings, we realize that these problems or the crisis, as we know, of the environment, of the health that is being emphasized, and so many deliberations will happen over it. How to preserve our culture, the tradition. Because all these, the culture, tradition, philosophy, they hold the key to our problems.
Okay.
We have to realize, and that's what exactly the effort is today, to bring out those things from Buddhism and propagate in the world.
Okay.
And the Asian, geopolitical region is going to play an important role in this. This is not just going to be restricted to Asia. I'm sure it's going to give new light of these solutions to
all these solutions do have larger implications there as well, as you're pointing out, Dr. Mishra. Dr. Lochan, again, as Dr. Mishra was referring to, Mr. Ketkar was also earlier referring to, and if we hear what Prime Minister had to say in the inaugural summit, he was also talking about how, the solution to most of the problems which we face today globally, be it conflicts, situations of terrorism, situations of, sustainable development, climate change is another challenge which we have, which is closely interlinked with sustainable development. So, the importance of Buddha's teachings, one, and two, what kind of message do we get from those teachings in trying to find solutions to these challenges?
We are very fortunate enough to have Lord Buddha's speeches noted down in Tripitakas, and Sutta Pitaka becomes very much connected to our daily life, and other two Pitakas going for philosophical requirements and other kinds of requirements. Sutta Pitaka is the largest one, gives us hundreds of examples of Buddha's stories related to these challenges what we are having at the moment, like saving the river water, saving the two warring unit together to come, and the issues of going for peacefulness is writ around all Sutta literature. Thirdly, I can also add here that Buddha is talking very, very openly that you have to do something for yourself, by yourself, then you think of others, which Prime Minister also quoted today. First you develop yourself, then you talk about others. This aptitude will be very important in the coming age, because the literature has references of all these natural issues, disasters and calamities. There are stories about how plague-like situation happened during his own lifetime. All the stories about that. Animal care, the story about particular elephant, horse, all talks about that. If you go into Jataka stories, 540 plus Buddha's previous stories of life, they are talking so humane in the life of management of the relationship between different parts of nature, philosophy, and people, as well as animals. So this is fantastic collection. We can find example for solving all the issues whatever we are having today, very easily.
Okay.
Only thing is that we have to promote it.
Okay, indeed, indeed. That requires a promotion of that knowledge as
That's
well.
very important.
And therein I'd like to bring you in, Mr. Ketkar. How can that be done? This summit's aim is also to bring focus back on Buddha's teachings, his preachings, the way he wanted or he propagated various problems which can be solved in a particular manner. But how are we going ahead, or what's the plan of action, would be the best plan of action to involve everyone? Because as the Prime Minister was saying, that India has always moved ahead with one of those concepts of, helping everyone at a global level.
It's a great opportunity, I feel, especially when we are, also, at the reins of presidency of G20. Because two key themes in this particular summit is health and sustainability.
Indeed.
Now, if we see from Buddhist point of view, we have gone through a pandemic, and many believe that it is still not over, and we keep on listening about it. But again, we think about health in a very isolationist manner, as if it is just a state of physical disease. While a Buddhist perspective give a more comprehensive view, and there is a complete, 2-session deliberation with monks and academicians practicing healing practices with Buddhist tradition. They are sharing their practical experiences. So mind, body, soul, intellect, how we need to. So this entire issue of balancing, most of the problems in today's life are thanks to the Western values based on materialist understanding of our life, and that's why Buddha's teaching of balanced approach, when Buddha says sammyaka, sammyaka basically is a balanced approach. So we don't see a conflict between individual rights and collective order. We don't see conflict between material development and environmental sustainability. We don't see a conflict between material development and spiritual development. So how to balance between these two so that there are less sufferings, there is more peace, and the prosperity is more shared. And that's why this most unjust thing that has happened over the period of time is, unfortunately, Buddha has become ism, like as if it is communism. No, Buddha is universal values for human life, human balanced life with nature, with all livings and non-living beings. And that's why recontextualizing this for the present contemporary challenge, unless present generation feel that it can provide me solace to my mental peace, instabilities, disorder that we see presently at the global stage, they will not find Buddhism.
And from an individual level, this juxtaposes to a larger global level in terms of sustainable development challenges as well.
Absolutely.
Something which there are global debates going on, summits, conferences every time, climate change theories coming in, and the challenge which we face on daily basis.
There, what Prime Minister said and what Professor Lochan also mentioned, that preaching without practicing has become a norm in the present world order.
Okay.
Especially post-World War world order, the American-led world order. You can preach anything to anybody. You don't have to practice it. Buddha's first lesson is to practice yourself, actualize it, and then only preach. And there, I think, when it comes to the issues of sustainability, why India is, this is the same India that we had. This is the same bureaucracy. This is the same political system, the same constitution. The same culture, but the way India is reasserting itself on its civilizational values, the way Prime Minister is articulating those civilizational values for the global challenges at the diplomatic level, that has made the entire change. And that's why what we see today, that there is a greater acceptance when India says something, whether it is related to Solar Alliance, whether related to Buddhist Summit, whether it's related to other issues that we are taking up at the G20 level. That has got more sanctity, or International Yoga Day. that has got sanctity because India is asserting what civilizationally it has stood for, practiced with. So that's why it has got more acceptance.
Another example would be the International Year of Millets as well, where we have shown the world as to how it can be done. Now, before we bring this to an end, Professor Lochan, what's the road ahead? What's the future roadmap? Because this is the first ever global business, Buddha Summit, and when we're talking about how it has to be brought to everybody's attention, and as Dr. Mishra was also referring to, that it can't be just and it will not be just restricted to the Asian region. The entire globe will have to imbibe those values if we have to get those positive results.
Well, I was thinking on the same line what you have just read my mind, and I will definitely say that this is not a summit only having summit. It is going to throw us a big challenge before us. How to infrastructure development in Buddhist sectors is the biggest issue for all the travelers. We are having minuscule part of travelers. You see, Pisa, Italy and all places go in millions. We find few of them coming over here. Buddhist traveling is almost zero here. So now they are all keen to come to India, and this is the time when there is a diplomatic terror, I will say terror, because there is another country trying to gobble up Buddhism belongs to them. And this is the time we have to claim our own heritage. Very easily we can do, but we have to work very hard. As you have also told earlier that we need to have a cohesion. We have to develop on multilateral platform. Like remember 2001, 2002, Atal's government tried to establish a cell for Arthashastra, which helped a lot. I think this is the time, very high time to have a cell of Buddhism, which can help us in taking out the precedents, examples and lessons for our better future of the world.
Okay. So
I'm sure about that. It's a very important role.
So will it be an annual fixture, summits like these?
Well,
or
it has been,
some other form of connection or or discussions and dialogue the organizing committee is planning on?
If you see a little past of this, I think it will be biennial type of affair. And holding yearly will be a tough job because it takes time to bring them because the themes are to be there. And this time very beautifully we have tried to have one angle talking about spirituality and philosophy among the monks and communities of those people, and another group of us laymen talking about that. So this is a very important one. Next time we can have a dialogue between the two. We are having parallel at the moment. We will have dialogue between the two. So all this requires great infrastructure, medical infrastructure.
In this kind of summit, coming out with some kind of resolution, but what this can pave the way for is perhaps some kind of institutional structure. International Buddhist Confederation has given a platform through Ministry of Culture. This is Ministry of Culture's initiative through International Buddhist Confederation. That has given a platform for all the Buddhists. See, there is an Nalanda tradition, there is a Tibetan tradition. Chan is basically Dhyan. Dhyan. So, whatever the country that he was talking about claims, it is essentially coming from that, that meditation, that meditative process. So, all these traditions, how they can converse with each other to find the solution. So, spiritually and intellectually, creating some institutional mechanism to find solutions up to UN or perhaps post-UN level. That is going to be the...
That's seemingly is the aim and objective and a motive out there. Thank you so much, Mr. Ketkar, Dr. Lochan as well, and Dr. Mishra also for joining us and sharing your valuable inputs on this very important issue, that is the teachings and preachings of Lord Buddha and their relevance in the contemporary world, specifically how they can provide inspiration and guidance to the contemporary issues, global challenges like sustainable development and several others. So the discussions will go on, deliberations will move ahead. We'll keep a close watch on them and keep you updated on all the details there and come back again with a different topic. Till then, keep watching Sansad Television. Thank you.